The executive wing was silent at 11 o'clock at night. Every office dark. Every hallway empty. Only the soft sound of water against marble broke the stillness. Kong Min walked alone through the abandoned corridor, his footsteps echoing off polished floors. Security had already swept the building. His guards waited 3 floors below. Up here, in the highest reaches of his empire, he was alone. Or so he thought. He stopped outside his office door. The sound again. Water. Cloth. Movement. Kong Min pushed the door open. A woman knelt on the floor beside his desk, scrubbing at a coffee stain with focused intensity. Her back was to him. She wore a simple gray uniform, hair tied in a practical bun, yellow cleaning gloves covering her hands. A bucket sat beside her. The faint smell of lemon cleaner filled the air. She didn't notice him at first. She kept scrubbing, methodical, thorough, completely absorbed in her work. "You." Michelle Clifford froze. The cloth dropped from her hand. Every muscle in her body locked. She turned slowly, eyes widening when she saw who stood in the doorway. Kong Min, the boss. The man whose name people whispered with a mixture of fear and respect. The man who controlled half of Seoul's underground economy from this very building. She scrambled to her feet, nearly knocking over the bucket. "Mr. Kong, I'm sorry. I thought. Everyone said you'd left for the night." He stepped fully into the office, closing the door behind him. His suit was impeccable despite the late hour. Black on black, perfectly tailored, a silver watch catching the dim light. His face was unreadable. Cold. Calculating. "What's your name?" Her throat tightened. "Michelle Clifford, sir. I'm the night janitor. I know who you are." His eyes never left her face. "You clean my office every night." She nodded, confused. Terrified. "Yes, sir. Is something wrong? Did I miss something?" "I can. You're coming with me to the family Christmas dinner." The words hung in the air like something impossible. Michelle blinked. Once. Twice. Her brain refused to process what he'd just said. "I'm sorry, what?" "You heard me." She looked down at herself. Yellow gloves. Stained uniform. Wet knees from scrubbing floors. "Sir, I think you're mistaken. I mop floors. I empty trash bins. I'm the janitor. I know exactly who you are. Then you know I don't belong anywhere near your family dinner." Kong Min stepped closer. Not threatening, but commanding. "I chose you precisely because you don't belong." Michelle's hands shook. She peeled off the gloves, trying to find solid ground in this conversation. "Mr. Kong, I don't understand." "You don't need to understand. You need to agree." "Why me?" His jaw flexed. For a moment, something almost human flickered behind his eyes. "Because every woman my family parades in front of me wants something. Money. Power. My name. You're the only person in this building who looks at me and sees a man who works too late and leaves coffee stains on his desk." Michelle glanced at the stain she'd been scrubbing. "You do leave a lot of coffee stains." "Exactly." She wrapped her arms around herself, feeling exposed despite being fully clothed. "Mr. Kong, I think I appreciate what you're saying, but I can't. Your family would never accept. My family doesn't make my decisions." "But, are you refusing?" The question dropped like a stone. Michelle's breath stopped. Refusing him. Refusing Kong Min. The most feared man in Seoul. The man who could end careers with a phone call. The man whose enemies had a habit of disappearing. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "I'm not refusing. I don't know how to be what you need me to be." "You don't need to be anything except yourself." "Myself?" She almost laughed. "I'm a janitor who can barely afford rent. I have cleaning solution under my fingernails, and my nicest dress came from a second-hand store. Your family will eat me alive." "No," he said quietly. "They won't. Because you'll be under my protection." The weight of those words settled over her like a blanket. Heavy. Warm. Terrifying. "What does that mean?" "It means," Kong Min said, his voice dropping lower, "that anyone who disrespects you disrespects me. And no one in my family is stupid enough to do that twice." Michelle looked into his eyes. Dark. Intense. Absolutely serious. "When is this dinner?" "Tomorrow night." Her heart dropped. "Tomorrow. A car will pick you up at 5. Everything you need will be provided." "Mr. Kong." "Min," he corrected. "If you're attending my family dinner, you call me Min." She swallowed hard. The distance between them felt simultaneously too close and impossibly far. "Min." She tried the name carefully. "I don't think." "Don't think." He turned toward the door, the matter already settled in his mind. Just be ready. What if I can't do this? He paused, hand on the doorframe. When he looked back at her, his expression had softened just a fraction. You scrub floors in an empty building at midnight because you need to support your family. You face the most powerful man in Seoul without flinching. You can survive one dinner. How did he know about her family? Before she could ask, he was gone. The door clicked shut. The office fell silent except for the sound of her own ragged breathing. Michelle sank back to her knees beside the bucket. Her hands trembled as she picked up the cloth. The coffee stain was still there, dark against the light wood. She stared at it for a long moment. Then she started scrubbing again. What else could she do? If you're already invested in Michelle's impossible choice, tap that subscribe button now, because this story is about to take you somewhere you won't expect. And drop a comment telling me what time is it right there, and what city you're watching from. 3 days earlier, the Kong family estate had been full of afternoon light and simmering tension. Kong Min sat in his mother's drawing room, a cup of untouched tea cooling in front of him. His mother, Kong Seo-yun, presided over the low table like a queen holding court. To her right sat his older sister, Ji-yun, perfectly poised in a designer dress. To her left, his younger sister, Hae-won, scrolled through her phone with barely concealed boredom. You're 35 years old, Min. His mother's voice cut through the pleasantries like a blade. The family needs stability. We need heirs. Your personal preferences are no longer relevant. Min didn't respond. He'd learned long ago that silence was often the most powerful answer. Ji-yun leaned forward, sliding a tablet across the table. Photos filled the screen. Young women, all beautiful, all from prominent families. The Park girl would be an excellent match. Her father controls 3 major shipping routes. The alliance would strengthen our position in Busan. I'm not interested in the Park girl. Then what about Lee Hannah? Hae-won chimed in, finally looking up from her phone. She's educated, sophisticated, and her family has connections in parliament. Not interested. His mother's jaw tightened. Min, you cannot continue to reject every suitable woman we introduce. This family has responsibilities. Traditions. Your father understood that. My father, Min said quietly, built this family on smart decisions, not arranged marriages. Your father, his mother corrected sharply, married me because our families needed unity. Love came later. This is how our world works. That was his choice. This is mine. Ji-yun sighed dramatically. You're being childish. Do you think you'll find some perfect woman who loves you for who you really are? You're a Kong. People will always want something from you. Min stood, buttoning his jacket. Then I'll find someone who wants nothing. That's naive, Hae-won said. That's final. His mother rose as well, her expression hardening. If you arrive at Christmas dinner without a suitable date, I will announce your engagement to the Park girl myself. The contracts are already drawn up. Her father is waiting for my call. Min turned to face her fully. You wouldn't. Try me. Her eyes were steel. You're the head of this family, Min, but I'm still your mother. And I'm still a Kong. I will do what's necessary to protect our legacy. The room fell silent. Ji-yun and Hae-won exchanged glances, sensing the battle lines being drawn. Finally, Min nodded once. Fine. I'll bring a date to Christmas dinner. His mother's expression shifted to cautious victory. Someone acceptable? Someone I choose. Min, that was your ultimatum, mother. I'll have a date. What she is. That's my decision. Not yours. He walked out before she could respond, leaving his family in shocked silence. In the car back to the city, his head of security, Jay, glanced at him in the rearview mirror. Boss, what are you going to do? Min stared out the window at Seoul's glittering skyline. His mother had backed him into a corner. She knew he'd never choose any of the women she approved of. She was counting on it, which meant he needed someone completely unexpected. Someone his family would never accept. Someone who would end their scheming permanently. His mind drifted to his office building. Late nights working. The sound of cleaning in the hallway. The janitor who never interrupted him, never asked for anything, never even looked him in the eye unless he spoke to her first. The woman who treated him like a man, not a king. I have an idea, Min said quietly. Jay's eyebrows rose. Should I be worried? Probably. And if you're wondering just how wild Min's idea is going to get, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens when a mafia boss decides to rewrite all the rules. Comment below if you think you know where this is going. I promise you don't. The next afternoon, Michelle stood in her small apartment staring at the business card the driver had handed her. Heavy stock, embossed lettering, an address in the most expensive district in Seoul. Her younger sister, Grace, sat on the couch, eyes wide. Are you seriously going to do this? I don't think I have a choice. You always have a choice, Michelle. Michelle shook her head. Not with men like Kong Min. You don't understand. He's not just my boss. He's terrifying, powerful. And when powerful people make requests, they're really giving orders. Grace stood, walking over to her sister. But why you? He could have anyone. Models. Celebrities. Why would he choose? A janitor? Michelle finished. I don't know. He said something about me being honest. About not wanting anything from him. Do you want anything from him? Michelle thought about the tuition bill sitting on her desk. Grace's university acceptance letter. The medical expenses from their mother's hospital stay last year. I want to survive. Same as always. How much is he paying you? Enough to cover your tuition for 2 years. Grace's eyes went glassy. Michelle, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Michelle pulled her sister into a hug. It's one dinner. I wear a nice dress, I sit quietly, I smile when appropriate. Then I go back to my life, and you get to finish school. Fair trade. What if it's not that simple? Michelle pulled back, forcing confidence she didn't feel. It will be. Men like Kong Min don't fall for women like me. I'm a tool he's using to make a point to his family. After tomorrow, I'll just be the janitor again. But even as she said it, she remembered the look in his eyes. The way he'd said, "You're under my protection," like it was a vow. The knock at the door made them both jump. The driver stood in the hallway, professionally blank. Miss Clifford, it's time. The boutique was closed to the public when Michelle arrived. A single woman waited inside, elegant and warm, with kind eyes and an assessing gaze. Michelle. She extended her hand. I'm Yoon Minji. Mr. Kong has arranged for me to prepare you for this evening. Michelle shook her hand, feeling completely out of place. I've never done anything like this before. I know. That's why I'm here. Minji guided her deeper into the boutique, past racks of gorgeous gowns and glittering accessories. First, you need to understand something. Mr. Kong doesn't do anything without purpose. If he chose you, it's because he sees something valuable. He sees someone convenient. Minji smiled. If he wanted convenient, he'd have chosen one of the dozens of women his family keeps introducing. He chose you because you're different. Don't forget that tonight. She stopped in front of a private dressing room. Inside, 3 gowns hung on a rack. 1 red, 1 emerald, 1 midnight blue. He said to let you choose, Minji explained. But he thought the emerald would suit you. Michelle approached the emerald gown slowly. Silk. Elegant. The kind of dress she'd never dreamed of wearing. It's beautiful. Try it on. The next hour passed in a blur. The dress fit perfectly. Had it been tailored specifically for her? Hair swept up in an elegant style. Makeup subtle but transformative. Delicate gold jewelry. When Minji finally turned her toward the mirror, Michelle didn't recognize herself. That's not me, she whispered. Yes, it is. Minji's hand rested gently on her shoulder. This is you without fear hiding you. This is you when the world actually looks. Michelle touched the fabric, half expecting the illusion to shatter. His family will know I don't belong. His family will know exactly what he wants them to know. That he makes his own choices. And that his choices are not to be questioned. Minji stepped back, satisfied. Now there's one more thing. She handed Michelle a small card. On it, a phone number and 3 words. Call me anytime. What's this? Insurance, Minji said quietly. I've worked with the Kong family for 15 years. They're complicated, traditional, and ruthless. If tonight becomes too much, if you need help, you call that number. Someone will come get you. No questions asked. Michelle's hands trembled. Is it really that dangerous? Dangerous. Minji considered the question. Not physically. But the Kong family has ways of cutting people down without ever raising a hand. Words can wound deeper than knives. Just remember, you're there because Min chose you. That means something. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. A soft knock interrupted them. He's here, one of the assistants said. Michelle's heart hammered. She smoothed the dress one more time, took a breath, and walked out. Kong Min stood near the entrance, checking his phone. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit, crisp white shirt, his hair styled back from his face. When he looked up and saw her, everything stopped. His expression didn't change dramatically. He was too controlled for that. But Michelle saw the flicker in his eyes. The way his gaze traveled slowly from her face to the dress and back again. The way he went perfectly still. Perfect, he said. One word, loaded with meaning she couldn't decipher. Michelle walked toward him, each step careful in unfamiliar heels. I feel like I'm wearing a costume. You're wearing armor. He extended his arm. Are you ready? No. The corner of his mouth lifted. Not quite a smile, but close. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. That will help tonight. She placed her hand in the crook of his elbow. His arm was solid beneath the fabric. Warm. Real. Min, she said as they walked toward the waiting car. What exactly am I walking into? He helped her into the back seat before answering. When he settled beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched, he finally spoke. My family is traditional. Powerful. They believe blood and status matter above all else. They've been trying to control who I marry for the past 5 years. And I'm your rebellion? You're my statement. The car pulled away from the curb, merging into evening traffic. Christmas lights decorated every street, festive and bright against the winter darkness. A statement that says what? Min turned his head, studying her profile. That I don't answer to them. That I make my own choices. That their approval means nothing to me. Michelle's chest tightened. And after tonight? After you've made your point? After tonight, they'll stop trying to marry me off to strangers. And what happens to me? He was quiet for a long moment. The city lights flashed across his face, making his expression impossible to read. You go back to your life, he said finally, with enough money to support your sister through graduate school. And you have my protection. Anyone who tries to retaliate against you for tonight will answer to me. Retaliate? You think someone might. My family doesn't like losing control, Michelle. But they fear me more than they hate you. You'll be safe. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust that this was just a simple transaction. One night. One performance. Then freedom. But the way he looked at her suggested something more complicated. We're almost there, the driver announced quietly. Michelle looked out the window. They'd left the city proper and were climbing into the hills. Through the trees, she caught glimpses of a massive estate. Traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern luxury. Gates, guards, security everywhere. That's your family's home? That's where I grew up. It looked like a fortress. The car stopped at the main entrance. Valets waited. Through the enormous wooden doors, Michelle could hear music, conversation, the sounds of a party already in progress. Min turned to her one last time. Stay beside me. Speak when spoken to. Show no fear. If anyone makes you uncomfortable, you come find me immediately. Don't try to handle it alone. What if you're not nearby? I will be. He stepped out first, then extended his hand to help her. When her feet touched the ground, Michelle felt her knees weaken. The house loomed above them. Lights blazed in every window. Shadows moved behind curtains. Min's hand settled at the small of her back, warm through the thin fabric. Breathe, she breathed. Again, she obeyed. Now walk. Together, they climbed the steps. The doors opened as they approached, as if the house itself anticipated their arrival. Michelle took one last breath of cold winter air. Then she stepped inside. Every conversation stopped. The entrance hall was enormous. Marble floors, high ceilings, a massive Christmas tree decorated in gold and crimson. At least 50 people mingled with champagne glasses and practiced smiles. Business associates, family members, power brokers and politicians. All of them turned toward the door. All of them stared at Michelle. She felt their eyes like physical weight. Judging, calculating, wondering. The emerald gown suddenly felt too bright, too obvious. She wanted to shrink, to hide, to become invisible the way she'd perfected over years of cleaning offices after everyone else had gone home. But Min's hand remained firm at her back, guiding her forward. Steady, unshakable. They walked into the great room together. Whispers erupted instantly. Who is she? Not Korean. That's not the park girl. Look at that dress. Where did he find her? A woman in an expensive hanbok approached, her face a perfect mask of controlled rage. Kang Seo-yun, Min's mother. Michelle recognized her from the photos that sometimes appeared in business magazines. Min. The name came out sharp, clipped. Who is this? Mother. Min's voice remained calm. This is Michelle Clifford. My guest for the evening. Your guest. Seo Yun's eyes raked over Michelle like she was examining a stain. I don't believe we've been introduced, Ms. Clifford. What family are you from? Michelle's throat went dry. No prominent family, ma'am. I work for your son's company. The whispers grew louder. In what capacity? Seo Yun's smile didn't reach her eyes. Min interjected smoothly before Michelle could answer. Michelle manages operations in the executive wing. We work very closely together. It wasn't exactly a lie. She did manage the cleaning operations. And she was in the executive wing almost every night. But the way he said it suggested something very different. Seo Yun's jaw tightened. I see. How unexpected. Two women materialized beside her. Min's sisters. Michelle recognized them instantly from their resemblance to their brother. Ji-yun wore a red dress that probably cost more than Michelle's annual salary. Haewon's elegant black gown screamed understated wealth. Both of them stared at Michelle with identical expressions of shock. Min, Ji-yun said carefully. Mother said you were bringing someone, but I didn't expect. Someone like her? Min finished coolly. No, I don't imagine you did. Haewon recovered faster, plastering on a false smile. How wonderful that Min has such diverse associates. Welcome to our home, Ms. Clifford. The insincerity dripped from every word. Seo Yun gestured toward the dining area. Well, dinner is about to be served. I'm sure you'll find the evening educational, Ms. Clifford. She swept away, daughters following like elegant shadows. Michelle released a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. That was expected, Min said quietly. Come, let me introduce you to people who matter less. He guided her through the crowd. Every step felt like walking through fire. Eyes followed them everywhere. Conversations paused as they passed, then resumed in furious whispers once they'd moved on. A distinguished older man in a tailored suit intercepted them near the bar. Min, good to see you. Mr. Choi. Min shook his hand. Michelle, this is Choi Dae-young. He handles our shipping operations in Busan. Choi's eyes lingered on Michelle, curious but not unkind. A pleasure, Ms. Clifford. I don't believe we've met before. No, sir. I'm not usually at these kinds of events. What family are you from? The question again. The test. The assessment. No prominent family, Michelle repeated. I work for Mr. Kang's company. Ah, Choi nodded, accepting this. Min has always valued competence over connections. Refreshing in our world. He raised his glass slightly. Enjoy the evening. When he walked away, Michelle whispered. Was that approval? Close enough. But not everyone was as generous. As they moved toward the dining area, Michelle felt the weight of dozens of hostile gazes. The women especially. They looked at her like she'd committed some unforgivable crime. The crime of not belonging. The dining room was spectacular. Long tables arranged in a U shape, decorated with winter flowers and golden candles. Place cards at every seat. Michelle's heart sank when she realized she was seated directly beside Min at the main table. Between him and his mother. I can't sit there, she whispered. Yes, you can. Your mother will spend the entire meal destroying me. Min pulled out her chair. Then I'll spend the entire meal defending you. Michelle sat because she had no other choice. Min settled beside her, his presence a wall between her and the rest of the family. The other guests took their seats. Conversations resumed, but quieter now. More controlled. Everyone was listening. Everyone was watching. Seo Yun sat at the head of the table, her expression serene but her eyes sharp. Shall we begin? Dinner was torture disguised as elegance. Course after course appeared. Traditional Korean dishes mixed with Western influences. Each played a work of art. Michelle barely tasted any of it. Her stomach was too tight with anxiety. 20 minutes in, Mr. Choi addressed her from across the table. So, Ms. Clifford, you work in the executive wing. Yes, sir. Doing what specifically? Michelle hesitated. Beside her, Min's hand moved to his water glass, gripping it tighter than necessary. I manage cleaning operations, Michelle said quietly. I ensure the offices remain pristine for business. A pause. Then Choi nodded. Important work. People underestimate how much environment affects productivity. Thank you, sir. But she could feel the other guests processing her answer. Cleaning operations. The janitor. The maid. Sitting at the Kong family table in an emerald gown like she belonged. Seo Yun's voice cut through the murmurs. Our family has such deep roots in tradition, Ms. Clifford. 5 generations of Kangs building this legacy. Do you understand Korean customs? I'm still learning, ma'am. But I respect them greatly. Learning. Seoyun's smile was ice. How quaint. Ji-yeon leaned forward, her tone sweet poison. Mother, not everyone grows up with our advantages. We should be more understanding. The subtext was clear. Poor. Common. Beneath us. Min's jaw tightened. Michelle saw his hand curl into a fist under the table. Ji-yeon, he said quietly. That's enough. I'm simply saying. I know what you're saying. The table fell silent. The threat in Min's voice was unmistakable. Hae-won tried to diffuse the tension. Perhaps Ms. Clifford could tell us more about herself. Where are you from originally? Lagos. Nigeria? Seo-yun's eyebrows rose. How did you end up in Seoul? Work. My sister is studying here. I wanted to be close to her. How devoted. The word sounded like an insult. And your parents? My mother passed away 2 years ago. Cancer. My father wasn't in the picture. Michelle hated how exposed she felt. Every answer revealing more vulnerability. More proof that she didn't belong in this world. I'm sorry for your loss, Hae-won said, and for a moment she almost sounded sincere. The meal continued. More questions. More subtle digs. More assessment. Michelle excused herself halfway through dessert. Restroom, she murmured to Min. His eyes searched her face. Are you all right? Just need a moment. He nodded reluctantly. Don't go far. She navigated through the house, following signs toward the bathroom. The hallways were quieter. Elegant. Family photos lined the walls. Kong ancestors staring down at her with judgment in their painted eyes. The bathroom was pristine. Marble and gold fixtures. Michelle locked the door and leaned against it, finally alone. She looked at herself in the mirror. The makeup was flawless. The hair perfect. The dress stunning. But underneath, she was still just Michelle Clifford. The woman who scrubbed coffee stains from expensive desks. The woman who wore secondhand clothes and worried about bills. Just a few more hours, she told her reflection. Then you can go home. Back to real life. She splashed cold water on her wrists, careful not to disturb her makeup, then took a steadying breath. Time to finish this. She stepped back into the hallway. The lights had been dimmed. Strange. They'd been bright a moment ago. Michelle walked back toward the dining room, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. She turned a corner and stopped. 2 figures blocked the hallway. Ji-yeon and Hae-won. Both smiling. Neither friendly. Going somewhere, Michelle? Ji-yeon asked. Michelle's heart jumped into her throat. Just back to dinner. Not so fast. Hae-won stepped closer, blocking her path. We wanted a private word. Your brother is expecting me. Min can wait. Ji-yeon circled around her other side, trapping her between them. We need to make something very clear to you. Michelle's hands clenched into fists. Stay calm. Show no fear. I don't think. We know exactly who you are, Ji-yeon interrupted. Her voice was sweet. Deadly. The janitor who mops my brother's office. The cleaning woman who empties his trash. Michelle's face burned with humiliation. I've never pretended to be anything else. Oh, but you did, Hae-won countered. The moment you put on that dress and walked in on his arm. Did you think we wouldn't recognize you? I've seen you in the hallways. Gray uniform. Bucket and mop. Invisible. I didn't ask for this, Michelle said, voice shaking. Your brother invited me. As a joke. Ji-yeon laughed, cold and sharp. As a way to embarrass our mother. You're a prop, Michelle. A statement. Nothing more. Then why do you care? Because, Hae-won leaned in close. Servants need to remember their place. Michelle backed up until she hit the wall. I'm leaving. Excuse me. Ji-yeon blocked her again. We're not finished. You see, Michelle, we need you to understand something very important. This little fantasy ends tonight. Tomorrow, you go back to scrubbing floors. And you forget you were ever here. I plan to. Good. Because if you get any ideas, if you start thinking this dress makes you one of us, you need to know the truth. Hae-won's smile turned vicious. You will never be accepted in this family. A janitor doesn't get to disgrace the Kong name. I'm not trying to. Don't lie. Ji-yeon's voice dropped lower. Women like you always want more. You see money and power and you think, why not me? But here's reality. You're beneath my brother. You're beneath this family. You're beneath everyone in that dining room. Michelle felt tears burn behind her eyes, but she refused to cry. You don't know anything about me. We know enough, Hae-won said. We know gold diggers when we see them. I'm not a gold digger. Then what are you? I'm someone trying to survive. Same as anyone. Ji-yeon laughed again. Survive? Is that what you call seducing your way into our family? I didn't seduce anyone. Then why did he choose you? Haewon demanded. Out of hundreds of women, why you? I don't know, Michelle admitted, voice breaking. I don't understand it either. Well, let me help you understand. Jiyeon stepped closer, her perfume overwhelming. My brother is using you. When he's done making his point to our mother, he'll discard you. You'll be fired. Forgotten. Just another naive woman who thought she could climb above her station. If I'm so beneath you, why are you threatened? The question hung in the air. Both sisters went rigid. We're not threatened, Haewon spat. We're protective. Of our family. Of our name. Of everything our ancestors built. Then protect it, Michelle said, finding strength somewhere deep inside. But leave me out of it. I'm just here for one night. Tomorrow, I disappear back into invisibility. Isn't that what you want? Jiyeon studied her for a long moment. Then she smiled. Cruel. Final. Just making sure we understand each other. Stay away from our brother after tonight. Don't call him. Don't text him. Don't even look at him when you're cleaning his office. Because if you do, if you try to take advantage of one evening in a nice dress, we'll destroy you. Quietly. Completely. In ways you can't even imagine. Are you threatening me? We're educating you, Haewon corrected. Consider this a kindness. We're telling you the rules before you break them. Michelle's whole body trembled. With fear. With rage. With humiliation she'd thought she'd left behind years ago. Now, Jiyeon said, stepping aside finally. You can go back to dinner. Smile. Play your part. Then tomorrow, disappear like a good little maid. Michelle walked past them on shaking legs, heading back toward the dining room. Behind her, she heard their quiet laughter. She didn't make it 3 steps before a voice stopped her cold. Do you? Everyone froze. Kong Min stepped out of the shadows at the end of the hallway. How long had he been standing there? How much had he heard? His expression was ice. Pure, terrifying ice. Jiyeon and Haewon's faces drained of color. Min, Jiyeon stammered. I asked a question. His voice was soft. Deadly. Do you understand each other? No one answered. Min walked forward slowly, deliberately, like a predator stalking prey. He didn't look at his sisters. His eyes were locked on Michelle. Are you all right? He asked her. Michelle wanted to say yes. Wanted to pretend she was fine. But her voice wouldn't cooperate. Min's gaze finally shifted to his sisters. What did you say to her? Nothing, Haewon said quickly. We were just talking. Talking. He repeated the word like it tasted poisonous. About what? Min, please, Jiyeon tried. About what? The temperature in the hallway seemed to drop 10 degrees. Jiyeon swallowed. We were just clarifying expectations. Making sure she understood. Understood what? Min stepped closer to them. Michelle had never seen him like this. Controlled rage. Leashed violence. That she's beneath you? That she doesn't belong? That she's just a janitor who should know her place? We didn't say, Haewon started. I heard every word. Both sisters went pale. Min took Michelle's hand, pulling her firmly to his side. His arm wrapped around her waist, protective and possessive. Let me make something very clear to both of you, he said quietly. The woman beside me is my guest. I chose her. I invited her. And your behavior toward her is not only disrespectful to her, it's disrespectful to me. Min, we were just protecting the family, Jiyeon tried. By attacking someone under my protection? His voice hardened. By threatening her? By making her feel small. She's a janitor, Haewon blurted. She doesn't belong here. She belongs where I say she belongs. The words echoed in the hallway. Min's eyes were black fire. I chose Michelle precisely because she is not a scheming leech interested in power. Because she doesn't look at me and see a throne. Because she treats me like a human being instead of a walking bank account. He paused, letting that sink in. Unlike the women you continuously parade in front of me, he continued. Unlike every suitable match you've tried to force on me for 5 years. Michelle's character is spotless. Can you say the same about yourselves? Jiyeon's eyes filled with tears. Not sad tears. Humiliated tears. You're embarrassing us, she whispered. You embarrassed yourselves. Min's tone left no room for argument. Now let me be absolutely clear. Any further disrespect directed at Michelle, any comment, any look, any action, is a direct challenge to my authority as this family's head. Do you understand what that means? Both sisters nodded, terrified. It means, Min continued slowly, that you will answer to me, not to Mother. Not to tradition. To me. And I promise you, the consequences will not be gentle. We understand, Haewon whispered. Do you? He stared at them both. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've forgotten who makes the decisions in this family. We haven't forgotten, Ji-yeon said, her voice breaking. Good. Then return to dinner. Keep your mouths shut. And if I hear that either of you so much as looked at Michelle wrong for the rest of the evening, you'll both be removed from tomorrow's business meeting. Permanently. The threat landed like a bomb. Both sisters' faces went white. Being excluded from family business meant being cut out of power, of influence, of everything that mattered to them. Min, please, Haewon started. Go. They went, scurrying down the hallway like scolded children, their elegant dresses trailing behind them. When they'd disappeared, the hallway fell silent. Min's arm was still around Michelle's waist. She could feel him trembling, not with fear, with barely controlled rage. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't. I should have just stayed at dinner. I shouldn't have. Michelle. He turned her to face him, his hands gentle despite the fury still burning in his eyes. You have nothing to apologize for. Your sisters hate me. My sisters are terrified of losing control. They attacked you because you're a threat to their plans. I'm not a threat to anyone. Yes, you are. His thumb brushed her cheek, wiping away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. You're a threat because you're exactly what I need. Someone honest. Someone real. Someone who doesn't play games. Michelle's breath caught. I don't understand any of this. Neither do I. The admission seemed to cost him. But I know one thing. No one gets to make you feel small. Not in my house. Not in my world. Not while you're under my protection. They said I was just a statement. A prop. They're wrong. Are they? She looked up at him, searching his face. Because that's what you said. That I was your rebellion. Your way of making a point. Min's jaw clenched. He looked like he wanted to argue, but couldn't find the words. Do you want to leave? He asked instead. Michelle thought about it. About running back to her small apartment. Back to invisibility. Back to safety. But then she remembered Haewon's cruel smile. Ji-yeon's mocking laughter. The way they'd tried to crush her simply for existing in their space. No, she said quietly. I want to finish dinner. Something flickered in Min's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or surprise. You're sure? Yes. His hand slid from her cheek to the back of her neck, a touch that was somehow both gentle and commanding. Then we finish this together. Together? You're not alone in this, Michelle. Not anymore. The weight of those words settled over her. Heavy, warm, terrifying in their implication. What if they come after me again? They won't. But if they do? His expression hardened. I'll handle it personally. Michelle believed him, which was almost more frightening than the alternative. Min extended his hand. Ready? She took it. No, but let's do it anyway. They returned to the dining room together, Min's hand firmly at her back. Every eye in the room turned toward them. Conversations faltered. Forks paused mid-bite. Min didn't sit down immediately. He stood at his place, surveying the gathered guests with an expression that made grown men shift uncomfortably. I want to make an announcement, he said. The room went completely silent. Seo-yoon's eyes narrowed. Min, this isn't the time. Mother. The single word cut her off. This is exactly the time. He turned to face the entire assembly. Business partners. Family members. Power brokers and politicians. All watching. All waiting. Michelle is my guest tonight, he said clearly. She came at my personal invitation. Any disrespect shown to her is disrespect shown to me. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Min continued, his voice carrying easily in the stunned silence. I trust that's understood by everyone here. Because let me be very clear. I protect what's mine. And tonight, Michelle is under my protection. The word mine hung in the air like a declaration. Seo-yoon's face had gone rigid. Ji-yeon and Haewon stared at their plates, humiliated. The other guests exchanged glances, recalculating, reassessing. Mr. Choi broke the silence, raising his glass. To family loyalty, he said diplomatically, and to respecting the choices of those we trust. A few others raised their glasses. Not everyone, but enough. Min sat, pulling Michelle's chair closer to his before she could sit. A subtle shift. A visible claim. Michelle's heart was racing so fast she thought she might pass out. But she sat with her head high, refusing to let them see her shake. The meal resumed. But everything had changed. People who'd ignored her now nodded politely when they caught her eye. Conversations included her, even if only superficially. No one dared to openly judge her anymore, because Min had made the rules clear. Touch her, and you touch me. An older woman at the far end of the table, Min's aunt Michelle learned, smiled at her warmly. That's a beautiful dress, dear. Emerald suits you. Thank you, Michelle managed. The evening continued. Slowly, carefully, with everyone treading lightly around the mine Min had just placed in the center of the table. When dessert finally ended and guests began to drift toward the drawing room for drinks, Michelle felt like she could finally breathe. Min leaned close, his voice low. You did well. I didn't do anything. You survived my family. That's more than most can say. A server approached with champagne. Min took 2 glasses, handing one to Michelle. Across the room, she saw Seo Yun watching them with an unreadable expression. Not quite approval. Not quite anger. Something calculating. Your mother looks like she's plotting something, Michelle murmured. She always is. Min sipped his champagne. But tonight she lost. And she knows it. Lost what? Control. Before Michelle could respond, Seo Yun approached them, her smile practiced and cold. Min, I'd like a word. Privately. Anything you need to say can be said in front of Michelle. Seo Yun's jaw tightened. Very well. You've made your point tonight. You've embarrassed the family, shocked our guests, and made a spectacle of yourself. Are you satisfied? Immensely. And her? Seo Yun's gaze flicked to Michelle. What happens when this little rebellion of yours ends? What happens to the janitor when you grow bored? Michelle isn't going anywhere, Min said quietly. The words hit like thunder. Michelle's eyes widened. Seo Yun's composure cracked for just a moment. What are you saying? I'm saying, Min set his glass down carefully, that you tried to force me into a marriage I didn't want. You threatened to choose for me. So I chose first. Michelle is my choice. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. Seo Yun looked between them, searching for the joke. Finding none. Min, you're the head of this family. Your decisions affect all of us. You cannot throw away our legacy for what, mother? Say it. Seo Yun's mouth opened, then closed. She couldn't say the words without insulting Michelle directly. Not after Min's public declaration. This is a mistake, she finally managed. That's my mistake to make. The family will never accept her. Then the family can adjust. Min's voice went cold. Because I'm not changing my mind. Michelle stays. Under my protection. In my life. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me directly. Seo Yun stared at her son for a long moment. Then, without another word, she turned and walked away. Michelle realized she'd been holding her breath. Min, what did you just? We're leaving. But, now. He took her hand and led her through the crowd toward the exit. Guests parted around them like water. No one tried to stop them. No one dared. Outside, the winter air was sharp and cold. Michelle sucked in a breath, feeling dizzy. The car appeared almost instantly. Min helped her inside, then slid in beside her. As they pulled away from the estate, Michelle finally found her voice. What just happened in there? Min stared out the window, his expression unreadable. I told my family the truth. What truth? He turned to look at her, his eyes intense in the dim light. That I'm done letting them control my life. That I make my own choices. And that you, he paused, something vulnerable flickering across his face. That you matter. Matter? Min, I'm just. Don't. He reached out, catching her hand. Don't say you're just anything. You're not just the janitor. You're not just my statement. You're. He stopped, seeming to struggle with the words. I'm what? Michelle whispered. Min was quiet for a long moment. The city lights flashed across his face as they drove through Seoul. Finally he spoke, his voice low and rough. You're the first real thing in my world. Everything else is performance. Politics. Power games. But when you look at me, you see me. Not my name. Not my money. Me. Michelle's throat tightened. I see a man who works too late and leaves coffee stains on his desk. Exactly. A ghost of a smile. That's why I chose you. But tonight, you said, you told your mother I was staying. That I'm in your life. Min, I'm the janitor. After tonight, I go back to. No. You don't go back to cleaning my office at midnight. You don't go back to invisibility. Then what do I do? He turned to face her fully, his expression serious. You work for me. Directly. I need someone I can trust. Someone who isn't trying to maneuver for position. Someone honest. As what? Your assistant. As whatever you want to be. He squeezed her hand gently. I'm offering you a choice, Michelle. You can walk away tonight. Take the money I promised you. Forget this ever happened. Or you can stay. Work with me. Be part of my world. Under my protection. With my support. Michelle's head spun. Why? Because in a world full of lies, Michelle Clifford, you're the only truth I've found. The car fell silent. Michelle looked down at their joined hands. His fingers were warm against hers. Strong. Real. I don't belong in your world, she whispered. My world needs people like you, he countered. People who remember what honesty looks like. Your family will never accept me. My family doesn't make my decisions. They'll make my life hell. Not while I'm protecting you. His voice was steel. I told you, Michelle. Anyone who comes after you comes after me. That includes my sisters. My mother. Anyone. She looked up at him, searching his face. Why are you doing this? Min's jaw flexed. He looked like he wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. Or maybe found them, but didn't dare speak them. Because, he said finally, every woman my family introduced me to looked at me and saw a throne. You looked at me and saw coffee stains. That's worth more than any business alliance or family merger. The car pulled up in front of Michelle's modest apartment building. The contrast between where they'd been and where she lived was stark. Min stepped out first, then helped her from the car. On the sidewalk, Michelle turned to face him. Thank you, she said. For tonight. For defending me. Don't thank me. I have to thank you for something. Thank me by considering my offer. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle, intimate. Think about it. Take your time. But know that the offer is real. You don't have to be invisible anymore, Michelle. Not if you don't want to be. Her eyes stung with tears she refused to let fall. I don't know how to be anything else. You already are. He stepped back, creating space between them. Tonight, you walked into a room full of Korea's most powerful people, and you didn't flinch. You survived my family's worst. You stood tall even when they tried to cut you down. Because you protected me. I protected you because you deserved it. But you survived because you're stronger than you know. Michelle's breath caught. No one had ever described her as strong. Sleep on it, Min said softly. Tomorrow, someone will contact you about the money I promised. Day after that, if you want to talk about the job offer, you call me. He pulled a card from his pocket and pressed it into her hand. My personal number. Not the office line. Me. She looked down at the card. Simple. Elegant. Just his name and a phone number. And if I don't call, something flashed in his eyes. Pain, maybe. Or resignation. Then I'll respect your choice. You'll have your money. Your sister's tuition. Your freedom. And you'll never hear from me again. That's it. That's it. He took another step back. The choice is yours, Michelle. It always has been. He walked back to the car, pausing with his hand on the door. For what it's worth, he said without turning around, I hope you call. Then he was gone. Michelle stood on the sidewalk in her emerald gown, watching the car disappear into Seoul's glittering night. Her phone buzzed. A text from Grace. How did it go? Michelle looked down at herself. The dress. The shoes. The jewelry. She felt like Cinderella after midnight, except the magic hadn't vanished. She looked at the business card in her hand. Kong Min. His private number. Complicated, she texted back. Tell you everything tomorrow. Inside her apartment, Michelle carefully removed the dress and hung it in her tiny closet. It looked absurd next to her practical work clothes. Like something from another universe. She washed off the makeup, took down her hair, changed into pajamas. Slowly, she returned to being just Michelle. The janitor. The invisible woman. Except she didn't feel invisible anymore. She felt seen. And she had no idea what to do with that. The next morning, Michelle woke to her phone ringing. An unknown number. She answered cautiously. Hello, Ms. Clifford? This is Park Jin-woo from Kong Enterprises. Mr. Kong asked me to handle your financial compensation for last night. The money. Right. The transaction. I can meet you today at your convenience, Jin-woo continued. The amount discussed, plus a bonus for your discretion. A bonus. Mr. Kong was very pleased with your performance. Performance. Like she'd been an actress playing a role. Michelle agreed to meet him that afternoon. When she hung up, she found Grace sitting on the couch, eyes wide. Spill. Everything. Now, so Michelle told her. About the dress, the family, the sister's attack, Min's defense, his mother's fury, the public declaration, and the offer. Grace's jaw dropped. He wants you to work for him. Like officially? He said he needs someone he can trust. Michelle, this is huge. You'd be making real money. You wouldn't have to clean offices at midnight anymore. I'd be in his world. His mother hates me. His sisters want me gone. Everyone there last night looked at me like I was dirt on their expensive shoes. Everyone except him. Michelle pulled her knees to her chest. I don't know what he wants from me, Grace. Is this really about trust? Or is this just an extension of whatever game he was playing with his family? Does it matter? Either way, you'd be better off than you are now. Would I? Michelle looked at her sister. Or would I just be trading one kind of invisibility for another? Instead of cleaning offices, I'd be his token honest person. His pet project. Grace was quiet for a moment. What does your gut tell you? Michelle thought about Min's eyes when he'd defended her. The way he'd held her hand in the car. The gentleness in his voice when he'd said she was strong. My gut says he's lonely, she admitted. That he's surrounded by people who want things from him, and he's desperate for someone who doesn't. And you don't want anything from him? I want to survive. I want you to finish school. I want to not worry about bills every month. Michelle sighed. But I don't want his throne. I don't want his power. I just want… What? I want to be seen as a person. Not as help. Not as someone beneath everyone else. Just as Michelle. And he sees you that way? Michelle remembered the way Min had looked at her when he'd said she mattered. Like he'd meant it. Like it had cost him something to admit. I think maybe he does. Grace reached over and squeezed her hand. Then call him. I'm scared. Of what? Of believing this is real and finding out it's not. Of stepping into his world and getting destroyed. Of, Michelle's voice broke, of wanting something I can't have. Like what? Michelle didn't answer. Because she couldn't admit, even to herself, that somewhere between the moment he'd chosen her in his office and the moment he'd defended her in that hallway, she'd started to care. About him. About what he thought of her. About the possibility that maybe, just maybe, she could be more than invisible. And that terrified her more than anything his family could do. 3 days passed. Michelle went to work, collected her payment, thanked Jinwoo politely, returned to her apartment, went back to her other cleaning jobs. Life continued, except it didn't feel the same. Every time she passed Kong Enterprises, she thought about Min's office at the top. Every time her phone buzzed, she wondered if it was him. Every time she looked at the business card on her dresser, she came close to calling. But fear kept her frozen. On the 4th day, Grace cornered her in the kitchen. Have you called him yet? No. Why not? Because I don't know what to say. How about yes? Michelle stirred her tea, not meeting her sister's eyes. What if I'm wrong about him? What if his family breaks me? What if? Michelle. Grace took the spoon from her hand. You've spent your whole life playing it safe. Being invisible. Not taking up space. And where has it gotten you? Safe. Employed. Alive. Alone. Exhausted. Invisible. Grace softened her voice. He gave you a choice. That's more than most powerful men would do. Maybe it's time to choose yourself for once. By working for him, by being seen, by taking a chance, by believing that maybe, just maybe, you deserve more than scrubbing floors at midnight. Michelle felt tears prick her eyes. I'm scared. Good. That means it matters. That night, Michelle couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, Min's words echoing in her head. You're the first real thing in my world. You're stronger than you know. I hope you call. At 2 a.m, she finally gave up. She got out of bed, found the business card, and stared at it. One phone call. That's all it would take. Her finger hovered over the numbers. Then, before she could talk herself out of it, she dialed. It rang once. Twice. 3 times. Maybe he wouldn't answer. Maybe he'd given up on her. Maybe. Michelle. His voice. Low. Alert despite the late hour. Hi, she breathed. I'm sorry, I know it's late. Don't apologize. Are you all right? Yes. She took a breath. I've been thinking. About your offer. Silence on the other end. She could almost feel him waiting. And, he prompted gently. I'm terrified, she admitted. Your world scares me. Your family scares me. The idea of being something other than invisible scares me. I understand. But, she continued, her voice getting stronger, I'm more scared of spending the rest of my life wondering what if. So yes. My answer is yes. Another pause. Then, quietly. Yes to the job? Yes to all of it. The job. Your world. Being seen. Whatever you're offering, I'm saying yes. She heard him exhale, like he'd been holding his breath. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. A sound that might have been a laugh. When can you start? When do you want me? Tomorrow, if you're ready. Michelle looked around her tiny apartment. At the life she'd built out of necessity. At the safety of invisibility. Then she thought about the emerald dress. About Min's hand at her back. About the way he'd defended her against his own family. About being seen. Tomorrow, she agreed. I'll send a car at 9. Min. Yes. Thank you. For choosing me. Michelle, he said softly. I should be thanking you. For choosing me back. When she hung up, Michelle felt like she could finally breathe. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, she would step into a new world. Tomorrow, Michelle Clifford would stop being invisible. And maybe, just maybe, she'd find out what it felt like to be seen by someone who mattered. Someone who, against all logic and reason, she was starting to believe might see her not as a janitor, not as a statement, not as a prop, but as Michelle. Just Michelle. And maybe that was enough. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring you more heartfelt tales of unexpected love, found family, and people who dare to step out of the shadows and into the light.